Hey everybody. So, reflecting back on the day, spent some time with our team here in Italy looking at our self-service program, specifically today looking at employee self-service and manager reports. Very interesting discussions. You know, when you're dealing with European teams, especially around data privacy and cultural issues, there's a much bigger attachment, I think, to the way things have been done. We had a lot of discussions today around their ability or their willingness to let go of data ownership, to let employees manage their own information. That part went okay. Getting into discussions around letting managers have access to that information, though, got very interesting. A lot of resistance around protecting the employee's information, specifically around emergency contacts, around contact information for the employee, dealing with address, phone number, those types of things. And I think in the States we look at those and say, from a cultural perspective, we expect a manager is going to contact their team, they're going to reach out, they're going to have these discussions when it comes to their engagement with a company. Even something simple like, gosh, can you come into work today because Betty called in sick and we've got some overtime that's available if you're interested. But there was very much a feeling that they wanted to protect the employees from feeling pressured to do those things. They were happy to be the intermediary, to call that employee at a moment's notice for the manager to be part of the discussions to let the employee know when they were needed. And I didn't get the impression it was because they wanted to protect their kind of place in the order, right? They were really more about making sure the employees didn't feel like they were being unduly influenced by the manager. So a lot of times when we're running projects and we're having these discussions, there's a lot of concern about the resistance to change. And I'm of the school of thought that when people resist change, it's basically because you haven't done a good job selling the benefits of it and you haven't shown them all the great things they can get from this new system and the new change. One of the best examples I've read about the fallacy of change resistance is that if you offered someone a new car, free of charge, gas paid for, upkeep and everything, insurance paid for, most people would take it. They're okay with that change because it's so obvious in their favor and so easy for them to put their head around why it's good for them. So I have a hard time with change resistance just as a concept as being the reason that people argue against something. I think it's mostly because we as change leaders haven't done a real good job explaining why they need to make the change, why it's going to benefit them, and why it's better than the current system. So, we try to focus on those things, try to make people more comfortable with why we're making a change. But this was an interesting experiment because this wasn't about we don't want to give up our authority. This wasn't about we don't want to give up the control we have of the information. This was really more about we want to look out for that employee. We want to make sure we're providing an environment where they're comfortable, where they don't feel unduly influenced, where we don't have to worry about someone abusing their authority when it comes to managing people. And I'm not sure what that's from. I'm not sure if there's something in the history that concerns them. I'm not sure if it's just a cultural resistance to giving up that kind of information. But it will be interesting to go further down this road with them. I will say this, there was no lack of discussion. There was a lot of passion about the work they do. The team that we have here clearly is engaged in what they do. They're proud of what they do. They have a lot of professional pride in being the human resources team for these employees. So I don't discredit that. I think it's fantastic. And if we had that level of engagement throughout HR, not just with one company, but across the profession, it would be a very, very different place to work, I feel. So now this is a small sampling of people, and I've worked with this team before, and I went in knowing they're a passionate group, so that's why I'm excited to work with them again. Going forward, I think it'll be interesting to see how much of this we can uncover that is really legal restraint, because there is some of that. How much of it is cultural restraint, because there is some of that, and how much of it really is just change resistance, because I'm sure there is some of that. So as a facilitator, a lot of the work we have to do is parsing out those three pieces. already have had some of those discussions today, and we're able to get people to begrudgingly admit that the issues they raised weren't really a legal issue, but it was a very strong cultural issue. That doesn't mean we can dismiss it, doesn't mean we can charge past it. And in those cases, what we end up having to do is say, for right now, let's assume we can work past some of these things. So I'll give you an example. We were looking at particular reports and what information can we put on this report, what can we share. So we have to make the assumption for right now, if we can't get the answers we need on the legal ramifications of building this report, let's assume that we have clearance to do it, we have the employee's blessing to share this information. If that's the case, let's build the report and see what it looks like. And then we have that ready. Now we can go back and deal with the legal pieces, talk to our legal counsel, find out what's actually happening with data privacy laws and how they really become part of this process. Then, if we get the all clear from legal, we know we've got the information we can build into the report, and we deal with the change management piece of putting it in place. If we do get resistance from legal that there are data privacy issues preventing a particular report or particular piece of data from being shared, then we go back and we revise that. But that way we're building for the best case scenario, and we can modify it down the road if we have to. So call it positive thinking, call it preparation, whatever you like. But it's things that we do now because we can. We have the people in the room to answer those questions. We don't have the people in the room to answer the legal questions and the requirements from the data privacy laws. So those are the things we worked on today. I think it was pretty successful. We got through a lot of great discussion, great feedback, a lot of very open debate on a lot of issues. So I love working with European teams. They don't hold things back very often. It's very refreshing to deal with people who are so open and honest about what they're really feeling on the issues and what their real concerns are. So that's it for now. More updates as events warrant. Thanks for checking in, and we'll talk to you later on. Bye.